Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Total Access Show with myself, Scott Frame, and joining me this week is new Berwick Bandits team manager Stewart Dickson as we look ahead to the 2024 Championship campaign. Stewart, first of all, welcome to your debut appearance on Total Access. I can assure you, as the season goes on and the year goes on, that this will not be your last appearance on this show. But first of all, welcome to Berwick Bandits. I know you were at the end of season dance. At that point, we didn't know the team that was going to take to track come March. We know that now. We're obviously going to get into the team building, how that's came about. But first of all, just how happy are you with the way that the lineup's shaped up?
Well, hi Scott. First of all, thanks for inviting me on the programme. It's good to be here, and I like your faith that I'll still be here come middle end of the season, sort of thing. As results will determine just how successful I am or we are. But no, I think we're in a good place. The winter team building I think it went pretty well. We got, I think all of our targets. Maybe I think there was maybe one initially, just as I was taking over that we didn't know what was kind of happening, so sort of thing. But no, all in all, I think as a management team, we're pretty happy.
That's always good to hear as well. And as we look at the way that the makeup of the side, we can see it's really a kind of clean break. Obviously, Berwick's been loyal to a lot of riders over the years as well. Some people say that that's a fantastic thing. Other people say that it's kind of held the club back. But what I would say at the moment is that we've seen that clean break. But how important was it to have some continuity in the side, and especially as we look at it, the kind of top end of the team, and Rory having spent last season at Shieldfield, and obviously Jai, everybody knows what Jai is capable of around Shieldfield as well. How important was it to keep those guys, the nucleus of that side there?
Well, I think what you mentioned there, Louis Kerr hit the nail on the head when I seen his interview with you earlier on a few weeks back, when he said, "Oh, Rory will have a season on him," so to speak, when he was talking about battling for the number one position. And that Louis he's no daft. He knows Rory's got a season under his belt at Berwick, which I think will be beneficial for Rory and for us. Jai obviously has been there. Is it 6 years? Maybe he's been there now, I think, sort of thing. So he's been there a while. His home scoring prowess is the sort of thing that kind of wanted me to re-sign him. We know he's got work to do. I think he acknowledges and admits that as well. We've got work to do on the road, but hopefully, as I say, with the experience of Rory Slide and Louis Kerr coming in, who've been around the scene quite a long while, and so as myself, we can get Jai going into that proper third heat leader role, which he's going to have to do the way the team's been built.
And with Rory coming back as well, you've made him team captain. Really, that's kind of a bit of a no-brainer for the outside looking in, but for yourself, taking it that bit of experience that you just spoke about there, the fact he's had a season at Berwick, and as we all know, Rory's no shrinking violet either. He's very vocal, and what I would say between yourself and Rory, it's going to be a vocal, loud pitch this year with no shortage of opinions here and there.
Yep, no, I would agree with you entirely on that one, Scott. Rory ticks all the boxes as a captain. He's been there, done the whole lot. He knows every track inside out. As you say, he's no frightened to give his piece. I can talk quite a lot maybe on the track walk, certain things, but I will engage with my captain a little bit, sometimes privately, sometimes within the team on the team talks. He is opinionated, and really you want that as long as it comes across constructive, which I've always known it to be from Rory. I'm pretty sure we'll have a good fit between me and him and the rest of the team, yeah.
Absolutely. And just you touched on Jai's experience around Shieldfield as well. In terms of that, because obviously he's the highest tenured rider in the team, if you will. Just looking at that, it's his pieces of track knowledge that are really going to benefit the new guys coming in as well, and he can play his part as a kind of vice captain, so to speak.
Yeah, as I say, I've never really worked with Jai. I think done the odd maybe guest booking here or there sort of thing. So I need to figure out their kind of way of working, and they'll pretty soon find out my way of working as well, I think. And I basically just need to see how's the best way of getting the best out of him. when I looked at his scores, I've done thorough research and all the riders and how they performed. When Shieldfield, obviously, Jai was a lot easier to look at, but I have looked at all of them, and I can see where the problems are away from home, certain tracks where the scoring's not. So I've got in my mind a plan that needs to be done, but it'll just be stage by stage. Let's get him going at home. The way the team's shaped up, he'll be in the middle order somewhere, partner either obviously Drew or Daniel when I come to decide the riding order. But no, you get 5 new guys coming into the club, next season, and 2 left over for last season. So the 2 that's been there before will certainly be able to help the other riders in maybe certain ways that I can't initially as the season starts.
So just to pick up my point that you made there, it's probably something that's probably more kind of like prominent within maybe other sports such as football, for talking sake, when you've got so much change going on in the winter. Even with the nature of Speedway, 5 riders coming into a 5 new riders coming into a side, plus like yourself, a new team manager as well. It is a lot of change in one off season. Is there any kind of concerns for yourself about how that may impact the team, or is it a case of a lot of these guys have kind of get experience? We've all been around the sport kind of long enough, and we should basically know how to handle that kind of situation.
Yep, I think the second part of what you said there, you just kind of answered what I was going to say. I don't have any concerns or any worries about the new riders coming in, because they've had some sort of experience of the Berwick track. So that doesn't concern me. I know what you're saying with football and that. Speedway very much an individual sport within a team event sort of thing. I've always said that the rider individually has got to score well for the team to get that magic total of 46. So I know there will be a team ethics sort of balance involved sort of thing, but at the same time, riders know they need to go out and score points. Else they're going to be looking over their shoulder, something we don't want, and something, that's the nature of the sport. But I don't have any problems or any negative thoughts about, any rider coming in that's no race for us before. I think once we get the team together, hopefully we can get a decent practice session. We'll get a couple of challenges at the start of the season, which I think is very important, so we can work things out and see the way that I'm going to work and the way that I want them to work as a team. And I think we'll be decent. I think it's quite exciting. Obviously, I've got to keep it on the low key at the moment, but you can see I'm very happy with what's been put together. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, just to kind of focus on the new guys that are coming in, because obviously fans are intrigued with some of the new boys that are going to be lining up for the Bandits next season. We're going to start down at number 7. One guy, I was really impressed with him. Obviously, I know you've been watching the kind of interviews that I've did with the guys closely, just to get that kind of sense of what they're thinking, their kind of mindset towards the season. And I would say that when I spoke to Freddie Hodder, I thought he was impressive. You can get some of the youngsters, as you're well aware, that go around the tracks and stuff like that. They're maybe a bit shy, a bit timid, want to answer questions yes or no. But I thought Freddie carried himself very well. He's obviously quite vocal, and he seems to have a bit of a character about him, which is exactly what you're looking for your number 7 as well. He's there. With the way the team looks as if it's set up, Stuart, there's not going to be a hell of a lot of pressure on him. So that character can carry him through the season, really, can't it?
Yeah, without a doubt, he'll have difficult meetings. Let's not dress it up. There's going to be tough meetings for him, but he comes in a 2. He's pretty much down there, no pressure on him, because we've got an experienced reserve, or will have an experienced reserve, hopefully at all times by his side, which I think will be beneficial for him. I've known him since he's about 14 years of age, when he came to Leicester GB youth days under the guidance of Rory Schlein and other riders. And he could never master the Leicester track, which was difficult and kind of bumpy and that sort of thing when I first got there. But he stuck with it. He can now ride it very well. I noticed his score at Berwick when he scored 15+1 last season. That wasn't lost on me or any of the other guys. I know it was National League, but no, as you say, I listened to him. What he was saying. He came across pretty well. Quite confident without being arrogant in his own ability, and I think we got in nice and early for him, and it was just as well we did, because Mark Lemon let me know that after we did, he wasn't short of offers. So I think there's 2 or 3 that's not the same wavelength.
Absolutely. And you look at, obviously, Freddie's going to be partnered with Bastian Bork at reserve, at least at the start of the season. Now, we would expect that kind of number 6 role riders to kind of chop and change in there, just with the nature of the team building. I'm sure that's not lost on you in any way, shape or form, Stuart, as well, because we're always going to have what you would kind of class to be as a kind of strong reserve in there that will make Freddie's life that bit easier. But we start the season with Bastian down there. Bastian, very confident young man in his own ability, obviously very busy boy in terms of speedway as well, which I think will help us in a lot of ways, more riding experience, etc. But looking at his performance last year at Shieldfield, obviously that was one of the main kind of reasons that we've looked at him. But obviously the biggest reason would be the potential of Bastian for the club as well.
Yep, definitely. You're right. He came to Shieldfield Park, I think it was July, and rode at number 2 and scored 9+2 for 5 rides for Edinburgh against the home side. You got to remember he was a visiting rider that night, which itself can be more difficult sometimes. He's young. I listened to his interview as well. He came across very well. Seems quite focused, determined young man. I only met him once when I was at Armadale with Birmingham when Stefan Nielsen actually T-boned him in the first race, and he was, shall we say, he was not pleased, was maybe an understatement, shall we say. And I thought to myself, well, I like his sort of attitude, his sort of not to say aggression in him, but there's a bit of fight in him, sort of thing, which we'll need. He on a 4-point average is somebody we were very keen to get, and it was Scott Courtney really who kind of got that one over the line with the help of the Edinburgh promotion, which I think I mentioned in the press. But no, experienced reserve. Looking at the way a lot of teams are set up this year, I think we might just have the edge in that department. We haven't an experienced reserve the way our team's been built.
So, and we look at someone who's probably just above that, and it's a rider that you know well from Leicester as well, is Drew Kemp. Now, when I was doing some research on Drew, I can't believe the amount of teams he's had for the age that he is. It's really time for Drew to kind of settle down and find a home within British Speedway. Going by obviously your confidence in him, bringing him back to Leicester this year, there's obviously the feeling that he can make Berwick a home for a long term rather than just another one season stint at a club as well.
Yep, he has moved around probably too much for a boy of his age. He does need maybe to put down some roots somewhere. Berwick hopefully will be the club of his choice that he does that. He's a good fast rider. You can always tell when the riders get a good chance of making it to a decent level in the sport that when they make the gate, they're particularly quick. He ticks that box. He's particularly quick when he makes the start. We just need to keep him concentrated. He's got a 5-point plus average. I know that he obviously has some time with Scunthorpe as well, which has enhanced that a little. But when he's at number 4 or number 2, whatever he was for Scunthorpe, he can still pop out and score 8 or 9 points. Consistency is what he's got to be aiming for, and hopefully he'll get the backing at Berwick, and hopefully it'll be a good platform to take his career, a stage further. I think he should be aiming for around about a 6-point average for 2024.
You mentioned that they're just about putting down roots for Drew, but that's obviously the kind of negative kind of side of things. The positive side of things for us as a club is that with that experience and racing different tracks and having different experiences on the continent and stuff as well, Berwick can get the goodness and the advantage out of that if he's able to kind of put down roots, because he's had all this experience and all this different ways of riding, different setups, etc. as well, isn't it?
Yep, he certainly he's covered a lot of tracks in such a short period of time. He obviously be racing for Leicester in the Premiership as well at the slightly more difficult number 6 position, which I think he'll be fine there as well. He should be racing regularly. He does like to keep his eye on the European scene as well, and I notice he's never shy to go out to race in open meetings in Germany and other places, etc. So he's keen to be on the bike as often as he can. He needs bike time. He should get plenty of that. And as I say, I'm delighted to get him up to Berwick, because I know it's a bit of travel and that involved, because it's like almost being involved with Glasgow again. You're trying to convince riders that the journey's fine, you'll be okay. And if he's scoring well and having a good evening, and he's getting the support off the Berwick supporters, which I'm sure he will, I think it's a good match. I think it's a good match for both Drew and for the club.
Absolutely. I don't think you'll ever need to worry about the batting for the Berwick fans anyway. Just looking at Daniel Hume, Daniel was obviously a victim making the numbers game at Redcar, it would seem, especially going on his interview with us on Total Access. But definitely a rider who's steadily progressed through his career, steadily upped his averages as well. And I know prior to Daniel's the release of it, we were saying he was a good young rider. I still can't believe what age he is, Stuart. I know you can't as well.
No.
But he's another one. He's got a lot of experience behind him now, and I thought he was excellent for Redcar last year. And another one, I know you've probably been compared to Brad Pitt on a few occasions, Stuart. Kind of moneyball situation with a few of these riders as well, where the numbers just seem to be perfect and everything's just fit into place. And Daniel definitely fits into that category.
He does. He gives us the balance what we need for another second string. We get him on a 472 average. He was averaging over 5.5 the year before. I know he had a wee stunt to reserve back and forward, but for me, his average slightly dropped a little bit at Redcar. I know he gets some good bonus points, but I'm very hopeful that we can get him back up over the 5 mark. No, the only reason we targeted him, I think what I seen of him when he was at Leicester. He was at the Cubs at Leicester when that was my first season there in 2019. I've always kind of liked his kind of gutsy attitude, his eagerness to please. He always seems to want to please. He's wholehearted. I think it'll be exciting, which I think we need to keep one eye on as well, from the supporters' point of view, and just all of us want to be entertained on a Saturday night. I think he's a good fit. He seems to go on with every rider. I don't think I've ever heard a rider have a bad word to say about him. So I think it'll be good for team morale if we get the wee bump in the road, which we will get every now and again. And he's one of those jovial characters that you need to help you get over the line in maybe certain tough meetings.
Absolutely, and with my own kind of observation of Daniel is, and I've spent a bit of time when we were out in France doing a bit of pre-season. This was a good 5 or 6 years ago and stuff like that. He's got good cat. He's professional in how he approaches it. And when I look at maybe over the last couple of seasons where he's been involved in the kind of top division, it doesn't really seem to matter the opponent or the opponent's name or whatever. He's always kind of one of these riders that's kind of, it's just another person next to me at the tapes, and he goes he's an all out, never say die kind of rider, Stuart.
Yep, I don't think reputations really bother him too much. He's had great experience last year, which he did touch on. We interview yourself. We always say Emil Saifuddinov and Jason Doyle. They're going to teach him a lot more than whatever I could do when it comes to the basic speed of riding a speedway bike and doing this and doing that and seeing certain things, But I'll just be there to guide them, keep encouraging them, and I'm looking forward to working with him because he seems the type who's going to kind of soak up information. I think when Rory speaks or Louis speaks to other guys, I think he'll listen in. He's got an intense way when he looks at you when you're talking to him that he is taking it all in. And looking forward to finally getting to work with him.
And last but not least, Stuart, we move on to the Bandits' new number 1. Louis Kerr, obviously the man I'm speaking about. Now, if I look back to last season at Oxford, obviously Louis was in a heat leader trio with Scott Nicholls, Sam Masters. Obviously behind him, Oxford had a fantastic season. But Louis flew under the radar slightly, didn't he? Because he was averaging over 9 points, real in terms of real-time averages, not rolling averages, was averaging over kind of 9 points in that kind of Oxford side. Definitely not to be sniffed at. And as a man who does have, even at the age he's at, has the potential to be an out-and-out number 1 and kind of nail that down for a full season, doesn't he?
Definitely. Just because he rode at number 3, I know there's been 1 or 2 comments about that in social media that he's not an out-and-out proper number 1. If you look at his scores on Speedway Updates, which obviously I did very thoroughly, he'd done about 50% of Heat 15s because Scott Nicholls sat quite a few out. Louis done, as I say, about 50%. So he it's not as if he was riding number 3 and he was getting protected with what the folk call easier rides. He was in a lot of Heat 15s. If you have a good look at his scores, for me to get an 860 average in the championship last year, obviously he gets his 2.5% reduction for us and comes in on the 839. But you don't get that, by being lucky. You get that by riding over a season and doing really, really, really well. He now has the chance, and I did listen to him. He wants to be a number one. He's been number one before at Newcastle. He mentioned. I think that this might be a slightly stronger team, no disrespect to Newcastle, but he's got the chance to do what he wants to do. He wants to lead for the front, and I'm pretty sure he'll be determined to hold on to it. I have no problems. He can get as well as the rest of them, and I'm pretty sure he's elevated himself to the number one role in Berwick, the way the team's been built, and I'd like to think he can hold on to it for the whole season.
And that's the thing, you just touched on it there, Stuart, and the fact that how good a gator Louis actually is. When Louis gets out in front, he's hard to pass.
Yep. He's one of these guys that can make the gate. Reminds me of kind of Stevie Worrell type rider, really strong at the start. I think that's important because Berwick, it can be difficult to pass unless you're a Bomber Harris type sort of rider. Not everybody can do the way that he does run the boards at Berwick. But Louis makes some starts. He will definitely score points for us. I think he can lead from the front. I think, looking at the league now, obviously you get Ryan Douglas missing, you get Benjamin Basso missing. I think he's about the 6th or 7th highest rider that's still left in the league. So we have two very good heat leaders at 1 and 5 between him and Rory, and I don't have any worries or concerns about them coming up against other parents in Heat 13 and 15 because the process, the nature that both of them can get, we've got a chance in every race, in the big races.
Would you expect a kind of shootout between Rory and Louis for that number one spot throughout the season?
Yeah, I think Rory will be quietly determined to try and get to number one. I think it's just in Speedway riders' nature. As I say, it's almost an individual sport within a team event. We try and focus on the team as much as possible, but riders will have their own wee internal friendly battles to see who can get the number one spot. I don't see it being any different, and that should hopefully push the two of them on.
I think as well that then filters through the team because we mentioned Bastian starting the season at reserve, but guys like Danyan, Drew, possibly even Jai in that mix as well will not want to be dropping down to reserve. They won't want Bastian to kind of up his average so that they drop to reserve. They'll be looking to kind of race as hard as possible to keep themselves out that reserve berth. So that in turn creates quite good internal battles as well. Competitive, sorry.
Yep, no, you're right. We will have competition throughout the team for certain things. I mean, I think I said that I expect to see Bastian move into the main body of the team. As you say, you've just highlighted 3 riders there. You did say that they maybe don't want to drop reserve. Sometimes it can be a good thing, if a rider's confidence is maybe dropped a wee bit. Hopefully, I mean, if Bastian was to remain at reserve, I think that'd be even better for us because it would tell us straight away the 3 riders that you just named have all increased their average slightly, and it's not allowed Bastian to get out the reserve berth. Ideally, in a perfect world, that's what will happen. But no matter what, the way the team's shaped up, fingers crossed, we should always have an experience. I think that's the word, an experienced reserve or a strong scoring reserve to go along with Freddie. Who will score vital points, certainly at home, I can guarantee it.
Obviously, we'll speak about meetings as they come up at the start of the season. We'll talk about them kind of individually, Stuart. But just looking, obviously, everybody's excited for the season to start now. We've got Christmas out the way. We're seeing clubs throughout the country, Ben Fund countdown and stuff as well. It's just around the corner. It'll be here before we know it. Just looking at kind of early season, Stuart. Now, obviously, you've said there you're about nailing your 1 to 7 down. I would be shocked if you didn't know what your 1 to 7 would be for those first BSN for the challenge matches and the BSN matches. How important is the BSN series this year? Because we seen last year where there was maybe a wee complaint about the kind of gap in fixtures, but that comes about by not qualifying for the next round of competitions. How important is that then to lay down a marker in the BSN series against obviously the reigning championship champions and obviously what would be classed as probably a local rival in Edinburgh, laying down markers against them and basically going out and topping that group? How important is that at the start of the season?
It is everything we go in. We go in with the attention, the intentions of trying to win it. That might not be realistically possible to win all the time, but we want to progress as far as we possibly can. I think it's been pretty common knowledge up here the last 3 or 4 years that Glasgow have always seemed to qualify for the BSN out the sort of northern section. We're under no illusions that is a tough section, but I looked at all the teams. It's not something I kind of kid on that I don't. I know a lot of promotion team managers say, I've not really looked at other teams. Nonsense. They all look, and I do look. I look thoroughly. I look through them, and straight away I look to maybe do different rider lineups at certain tracks, which I think will be beneficial to Berwick. The lineup might not be the same at home as it is away, but we'll leave that for near the time. But no, it's very important. The BSN is really important. If we can get to finish top of that group and go through the semi-finals, you can then almost park that for a little while, without being disrespectful. We then go on to the big business of the league. We'll obviously get the winners of Scunthorpe or Plymouth, which is waiting for us, which, to win that tie over 2 legs, all of a sudden you're in the semi-finals, the knockout cup, and, you start to get a bit excited. You can probably even hear it in my voice when we're talking. And I don't think that we've had that at Berwick for quite a while. So these are the aims that we want to do well in every competition we go in. You can't just treat the BSN as a pre-season warm-up. No, for me, it's every bit as important as the league matches and the knockout cup matches.
Absolutely. You've mentioned it there. You've obviously had a look about the league, as I'm sure every fan has, and obviously we've seen online different forums on social media, etc. People try to guess who's got the best lineup and playoff teams, etc., etc. And of course, people within clubs are no different. As much as people probably think they are, they're not. They're not any different. Just looking at it, if the team can stay injury free, which has been a major kind of issue for the Bandits over a number of seasons. Looking at the rest of the teams and looking at the Bandits, just how far can the Bandits go this year?
I think we can certainly be in that top 4. We can be in the mix. The key word is injuries, but it's not just that, because riders have also got to perform to the ability what I think they can. I know it's easy to say, well, he can put a little bit on their average. It's going to be a 38-point limit, and the mean average will level out around about 42-13, as it always does in Speedway. So, the average of teams will go up. So we need ours to go up, and there is certain areas which I'll keep myself where I think we can hurt teams more than they can hurt us in certain areas. What I will say, as a whole, I think the league, the 38-point limit, might not every supporter agrees with it. I think it certainly made the league look a little bit more competitive and stronger. I don't think you'll get, the way it was maybe the last couple of seasons, 4 or 5 teams at the top, and then the way last season was, you could have teams, without being disrespectful, who were very near the bottom with a chance of qualifying for the playoffs, the top 6. I think top 4 is right. I think it's a proper way to go. And that's our aim, is just to get in that top 4. Nothing fancy about trying to be topper in. It would be great the higher up we get. But if we can get into the top 4, that will have been a very, very good season for Berwick.
Well, as we say, we've still got Jai and new captain Rory Sline to speak to us in Total Access, because obviously Jai's down under. Rory's working during this whole winter period, so we've still got the opportunity to speak to them during the winter months ahead of the season. Stewart, thank you very much for going through that and previewing, obviously, and going through the team with us. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to March. And as I say, I'm sure we'll speak to you lots before then.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Look forward to seeing everybody in March. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.